All right, so this one caught my eye. It's called Elite Dangerous, The Writing is on the Wall, or is it? And this is from Obsidian Ant, at least considered my authority for anything Elite Dangerous, and as a Star Citizen fan, obviously Elite Dangerous is very relevant as well. And that caught me, like, caught my eye because the writing on the wall comment is like, I heard they canceled it on consoles, right? So
Elite Dangerous, its days are numbered. The writing is on the wall. So, what alternative space games are out there for console players and PC players?
Whoa. Like, seriously? Like, all together? Or is this just, like, sort of sensational, like, holy crap, they just canceled console stuff and, everything's going to fall apart
Well, that's a
now?
question we're going to look at. But first, there's another question to answer. Is Elite Dangerous really a dead and dying game? Well, that will entirely depend upon where you sit. If you're a console player, then it's the end of days. No more future content for Elite Dangerous. Just critical patches and the servers remaining on. Effectively, this is what's known as
Okay, so you could still play it, but they're not going to update it.
maintenance mode.
Maintenance
The PC
mode.
version of the game, meanwhile, does have a future, at least if you've got the Odyssey client, which is going to continue to be receiving new content and new updates. At the end of the day, this is what is known as a shitty situation. For a big chunk of the player base, around about 20% based on public information, who exclusively play on consoles, this is definitely not a good thing, not good news whatsoever. Some PC players, meanwhile, are going to have some different feelings about this, as obviously their version of the game does have a future. So I know what some of you out there are going to be thinking, this is all hyperbole. It's Obsidian going on a rant, it's me just bandwagoning. It's Obsidian saying Elite's dying again, ha ha. Regardless of your take though, regardless of whether you think there's good to come of this or bad to come of this.
Like, dude, I don't know what he's about to say, but regardless, if, like, Star Citizen, I mean, they just canceled. They start things and don't finish them all the time. But if Star Citizen did the same thing of if they had a console release, like, you would start thinking that maybe there were some financial issues and they're trying to cut costs wherever possible. And that's the last thing you want to see for a game that you want to see continuously updated, grow to be better, hear your feedback heard, and hopefully the feedback that you provide gets actioned on. Like, when you see stuff like that, you fully expect there to be a big problem even for the PC release, right?
Ultimately, Elite is not in a great place right now. So whilst some people will try and put a positive spin on everything and say everyone's happy, unfortunately that really isn't the case. There's a whole lot of people out there that just aren't very happy at all. And yes, this is just a YouTube poll, not scientifically accurate, gives some trends, but I know what many of you actually feel about these. Nonetheless, it gives me at least some indication about what is going on with the thoughts and opinions within the Elite Dangerous community. And if you want a wider perspective of this, you need only look at other YouTube channels, as well as conversations across the internet. Let's take a look at this article on Eurogamer, for example. Not a flattering read towards Frontier by any means. Elite Dangerous cancels Odyssey expansion and all future content on consoles. Frontier Developments will no longer be releasing new content for its long-running space sim Elite Dangerous on Xbox and
they
PlayStation.
canceled the Odyssey expansion
and development
as
on
well.
the console version of its poorly received Odyssey expansion has ceased. The article briefly goes on to mention the situation with Odyssey and ultimately says, unfortunately for those that purchased it, the £30 expansion arrived in a shocking state when management opted to shove it out the door in May, plagued with performance issues, server outages and a heap of bugs. Odyssey rapidly accrued a mostly negative rating on Steam, and Frontier responded by delaying the Xbox and PlayStation versions indefinitely in order to prioritise the core PC experience for Elite Dangerous. There's a bunch of similar articles out there from other websites. Unfortunately, the current situation with Elite does mean rehashing old ground. We'd all like to move on, but it seems that Frontier just won't allow us to do that. Yes, they have released 10 updates for Odyssey on PC, in an 11th one on the way this week, but their extremely poor management and development practices of the game, not to mention their terrible communications in recent months, really just keep bringing these negative situations to light again and again.
Oh, sounds some familiar, dude. Sounds familiar. I don't know. Like the thing that I see here is maybe Frontier is moving on from Elite, right? It's been a long time. Games eventually die. Yeah. It's one of those things. It just is what it is. But I don't think that would have happened if Elite was more fun and more people were playing it and there were lots of microtransactions, right? But who knows? You know? Maybe their zoo games are doing better. It comes down to, it's clear they were trying to cut costs, or maybe they didn't think it was even feasible to make Odyssey a reality on consoles. Like maybe they just couldn't handle it. I don't know. But the whole thing is, that's got to be scary for a PC player. That's just what it comes down to.
That would prefer to focus only on the positive aspects of the game. Personally, I'm not one of them. I'm firmly a guy that likes to sit in the middle and look at the broad overall situations, and that's the same reason you won't find me focusing exclusively on negative aspects as well. Yes, shades of grey. Not 50 of them. It would be great if there was just 50 shades of grey with Frontier, but unfortunately it's many and many more. Equally, there's many different opinions out there on the overall situation, although for the most part, a lot of these seem to be slanted towards the negative. What you're seeing on screen right here is a YouTube poll. We all know what everyone thinks about those, far from scientific, but they do give a bit of a trend, at least in relation
Didn't we just hear this?
To general current thinking. But that
Did I
said,
scroll
quite
back?
rightly, opinions are always different out there. There's a whole wide range of them. Something I don't usually do on this website, on this channel rather. Let's take a look
I think
at
this is
a few
just like an
comments
editing
from
error.
my recent videos, and I will keep the names out of it, but I think this is entirely fair to do, because these videos shouldn't just be about what I think and what I have to say. It's entirely worth taking a look at other people's opinions as well. It isn't only disappointment, but there is a level of deceit as well. It should be noted that this decision to abandon development on consoles was not made overnight. This decision has been known for months, perhaps as far as 6 or 7 months. I will even go as far as saying that I doubt FF devs have even been concerned or worried about Odyssey on consoles, even though they would say otherwise, simply because they already knew that consoles were to be rated obsolete. The brutally honest truth is that for the past year, Frontier have strung along console players. These console players were waiting in vain, waiting for Odyssey DLC, some even upgrading to Xbox Series X and the PS5, still dedicated to playing Elite Dangerous, still buying their merchandise, still buying the game as a whole, all while Frontier knew for months that they would be cutting off console players in the future. Where do we draw the line and say enough? So just to be clear, this is of course someone's opinion. It's not based on fact, but based purely upon their observations as they see it. And those observations, in part at least, will be based on Frontier's communication policy. So whether you agree or disagree with that particular comment, there's something to be said for Frontier themselves and their communications having an impact on the player's perception of what is going on with the game. 95% of games just chuck out the game and leave you to it. Elite Dangerous has worked to keep it going for years. Since I backed the Kickstarter, I paid the initial backing, then the Xbox version, then the Horizons.
I think a lot of people got their money's worth.
For all I paid for it, I have had a fantastic experience, mainly on Xbox, to be honest. I think Frontier should be given a break to work on the future of the game without being moaned at, lack of support, etc., when most people have only paid 40 or...
Bro, here's the thing. Regardless of whether you're being moaned at or not, they still have to work on the future of the game. And maybe they shouldn't listen to all of the moaning and just focus on making the game. Because guess what? When you develop your game in front of an audience, that's part of it. And that doesn't mean that, like, the people like me and the way I've acted in the past is anywhere near appropriate, because there's been plenty of times where I've been inappropriate. There's plenty of times where many of you have been inappropriate. But it's also inappropriate for a professional video game development company to not put their head down and get the job done, right? And anybody who makes comments like these are ridiculous. I'm sorry. The devs... Star Citizen devs will make comments like these, but, you know, because the whole roadmap and noise comment thing, but the most dev companies will not respond in any way like this. Yes, is constantly hearing negativity enjoyable? Just be a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber. It's horrible, all right? It will bring you down mentally if you let it. But as a game developer, you just need to go to work, put your head down, and make the game. Just like all of us go to work, put our head down, collect our paycheck, come home, and do what we enjoy, right? The same thing has to go for a game developer. It's their job. But the whole thing is like the comments that come from here are just people that can't take any criticism in their normal lives, most likely. And I just can't stand comments like this. These I guess white knights, right? That just like think that they need to put a shield in front of the game company that they love so much, and don't say anything bad about the developers. You know, they're probably not able to keep working on the game because of it. It's like they probably don't even read the comments at all, dude. Like, the only people who read these comments are the ones who get paid to do it. It's the community managers, and they just don't repeat this crap to the devs.
50 quid. I will continue to play the game as long as I enjoy it. I do, so I will. Thanks to the community for the videos, but biggest thanks to David Braben and Frontier. I think there's something to be said for paying £30, £40, whatever, for a game and it giving you many, many years of quality entertainment.
Yeah.
For people who purchased the game back during the Kickstarter, they would have got access perhaps in 2013, maybe 2014, depending on when how much they paid. So yeah, we're talking of 7 to 8 years of entertainment for the price of entry. So yeah, I can relate to that comment. I think it also kind of backs up my earlier observation about Frontier's communication policy. As the commenter says, I think Frontier should be given a break to work on future of the game without being moaned at for a lack of support, etc. So yeah, fair observation, but it really wouldn't happen. People would complain far less if Frontier had a bit more of an open book when it comes to communications. What is going on there? Yes, we've got...
No, you would probably complain more if there was an open book to communication, right? Like, look at Star Citizen. They're a bit more open, and man, all we do is complain about everything they do, right? Like, even the White Knights complain about the states of their ships these days. It's tough. So, like, having the open book versus not having the open book, neither one works. When your game is constantly being developed and it's not just a release product and you fix some bugs, you know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. So that's just how I look at that. And I don't know. Just the noisy comment is the one.
A new forum post from Frontier, which I touched on just earlier, and we'll have a closer look at in just a bit. But ultimately, these ongoing regular blackouts of...
Instant Shinobi in chat said, I think community expectations just suddenly exceeded the scope of FDev's vision. FPS plus interiors removes a lot of smoke and mirrors and forces real scale everywhere. Yeah. I think Star Citizen has a lot of those problems too, is community expectations are higher than what's a reality. And I think the problem is that FDev did and kind of does set those expectations with some of their trailers a little bit, like that this might be a thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think community expectations are created by what Star Citizen has completed, and I think in a lot of ways, community expectations for Star Citizen are created by what FDev has done. And they think that the two can be made into like one grand vision, and I just don't think so.
Information aren't doing anyone any favours at all, least of all Frontier. Now, if you want a bit more of a deep dive into the into the current situation with Elite Dangerous, I can recommend 2 different videos. We've got this one here from Commander Exorcist. It's a 20-minute discussion on where Elite Dangerous is, where it's been, where it's heading, as well as Commander Exorcist's take on the whole thing. There's also a 1-hour podcast here with Space Tomato, who's having a discussion with Down to Earth Astronomy. Both fantastic guys, well worth a listen to this one. So both videos have
Space
a very good
Tomato,
insight on what's going on with Elite. People's takes are very balanced, so I really do recommend you go and check them out. Both links can be found in the video description below. So, what's new with Elite Dangerous? Well, as I'm recording this video, Frontier community team have posted a new update to the official forum. So, let's take a very quick look. Not too much there in the way of future content for Elite Dangerous other than Update 11, but nonetheless it bears taking a bit of a look at. And do keep in mind that this is the first community post of any substance that has been posted this year. What have we got then? Frontier confirming that Odyssey Update 11 is on schedule for this week. That's after being delayed a little bit from last week. They still don't give an exact day, but they're saying they're planning on rolling out the update early this week. They're just undertaking those final checks again. So this update will bring fleet carrier interiors to the game. So for those players who have access to fleet carriers, it means they'll be able to haul around their home base at pretty much anywhere across the entire galaxy. Frontier also mentioned that there's going to be a new type of mission within the Update 11 alongside another wave of fixes. After that, Frontier move on to discussions of the new streams, their live streams. They're going to return. These have been relaxed. These have basically disappeared for the entirety of this year. They're going to bring them back, a single live stream, one per week at the time of 1600 UTC every.
I think that should excite Obsidian because he clearly wants more communication. Right? So, yeah. What are your thoughts on content creators' use of the word expect when talking about features that are listed on the next month's patch? I mean, the only thing that you can expect is what you hear from either Frontier or Elite or whatever, you know?
Thursday. So, it's going to be less streams, but they're going to be longer. Frontier also touch on the upcoming community event calendar. This will effectively allow players to announce publicly their in-game communities and community events to essentially promote them. A few other little bits and pieces there as well, so the full post is linked in the video description if you want to go and check it out all for yourself. I don't think you need me to read each of those out for you. Finally then, before we come to an end of this video, I opened the video with discussing alternative space games, and I know that some of you out there are certainly going to want to be thinking about that. Now, unfortunately, the downside, the sad news about all of this is there's not a huge amount in the way of games similar to Elite Dangerous, especially not on consoles. If you're on PC and looking for alternatives, there is Star Citizen. I know people out there are not going to appreciate me recommending that, but it is a game. It is playable.
That's so insane.
Regardless of its state, maybe it crashes.
Listen. The absolute like Republican Democrat teaming level of ridiculousness that Elite fans have against Star Citizen fans and Star Citizen fans have against Elite fans is so stupid. It's so stupid. I've enjoyed my time playing Elite. It's not a game that I would play a lot, only because I don't think it streams well. I didn't enjoy it as a streaming game, but I totally could have seen myself just sort of mindlessly grinding it and enjoying myself doing that if I had enough time off stream to play the game. So earning money, making my ship look cooler, going through all the different aspects, mining, making tons of money doing that. I think I totally could have had fun doing that, but just didn't because I only really have time to stream, and I think Star Citizen Conversation is just better, as well as the other games that I stream. I don't think there's anything wrong with either game. There's nothing wrong with you liking either game, I should say. There's plenty wrong with both games, right? But those are all just personal opinions.
There's a lot. Well, we know it crashes a lot. There's a lot of bugs, but you can go out there and play it. And when it comes down to it, it's perhaps the closest thing out there to Elite Dangerous right now.
That's true.
The next really obvious recommendation is No Man's Sky, and I'm pretty sure most people would have at least considered taking a look at that.
Would have been a more obvious
one. But yeah, Hello Games have done a fantastic job with this over the recent years. I really do have a lot of respect for them with the massive amount of work and change that they put into No Man's Sky over the past few years. Now, if you're looking elsewhere, you're going to have a bit of an easier time if you're on Xbox than if you're on a PlayStation. Xbox does have access to Space Engineers. Now, this is a really popular sandbox building type space game. Build your own spaceships, build your own stations, you've got access to planetary surfaces and all sorts of things. Pretty popular game, in fact they've sold over 4 million copies at this point. It's not a game I play myself unfortunately, but that's not because I don't want to, it's simply due to a lack of time. In fact I'm regularly getting recommended this one, especially by Old Duck, who keeps telling me to play this over and over, and
hopefully just made a video about it recently,
getting back into it. I did play this many years ago actually. Either way, if you're on Xbox or if you're on PC, don't think it's on PlayStation, but yeah, it's certainly worth taking a look at. Meanwhile, if you want a slightly older space game, you can take a look at Everspace. This is a quality roguelike shooter. This is available on both PC and consoles. If you want something a bit more open world, perhaps one of the best space shooters out there is Everspace 2. This is still in early development, but it is available
I don't want
on
to see it.
PC.
I have
In
not
fact,
seen
I recommend this
from
above
2.
all the other games I've recommended so far. Very, very good. Hopefully, I do believe it will be coming to consoles at some point after the final release. So, yeah, keep your eye out for that. So, that's my recommendations out the way. What I'd really like to know is for those of you on console or perhaps PC who are now moving away from Elite Dangerous, what game are you choosing to play? Are there any other space games out there that you're taking a look at? Alternatively, are you perhaps moving towards a simulation such as Microsoft Flight Simulator or DCS World, or perhaps another total different branch of game, a different genre altogether?
I think it still is.
I'm going to pin a comment down below, so do take a look where you can answer this particular question.
It just looks like Everspace 1, so
as always,
fine.
Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.
So, sorry, the reason I did that was because Everspace 2, like, I know their community manager, and I played Everspace 1, and I've been waiting for that game for a while, but I'm kind of over the playing early access kind of thing, and I just want to wait for it to be more released and like kind of patch 1 ready to go. All of the content is in, all of the bugs for the most part are fixed, and it's like it's go time. I'm just waiting for that, and then I'll play. I have put it on the shelf and not even looked at it for years for that purpose only. So that's why I was like covering my eyes. But anyway, Obsidian, as always, thank you so much for your video. I was just very curious of like, whoa, that title caught me and was like, is Elite done? Like, that was scary. So, but I guess not. And yeah, awesome.